Here we come, walking down the street. We get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, we're the Monkees, and people say we monkey around.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 5 of Turning Tracks. My name is Kris.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to talk about the music that we love. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about a band that, as far as I know, was the first quote-unquote band I liked. They originated in an era that was before my time, but that didn't stop me from learning to love them. Don't go monkeying around, because today we listen to the music of the Monkees.
Monkey around, we're too busy singing to put anybody down. We're just trying to be friendly.
Oh, hi there, Matt.
What's up, Kris?
Oh, nothing much. I'm excited. Oh boy. So going into this one knowing that you're not a fan of this band, I don't know what your history is. We'll get to that in a minute, but I'm definitely a bit nervous, but also really hopeful that I can maybe not turn you around, but at least help bring some proper appreciation to this very strange band.
Well, okay, so very quickly, right? Last episode, you had mentioned it was the Monkees, and I was like, okay, I'm interested. When we went off the air, I had told you very candidly that I do not like the Monkees. So that I just want to give a bit of clarity to our faithful listeners. I am, as far as I can tell, not a fan of the Monkees. And when we get into personal history, I'll go into why that is.
Okay, well, I'm pretty excited. We'll talk about our personal histories in a little bit, but first, let's go down with some basic history of who these people are for those of us who might be younger than us.
Oh, boy.
All right, back in 1965, TV producers Bob Rafelson and Bert Schneider cooked up a sitcom idea about a rock group that bore more than a passing resemblance to the Beatles. Mickey Dolenz, Mike Nesmith, Peter Tork, and Davy Jones were cast as the band The Monkees, and comedy ensued. The show was a hit thanks in no small part to the music associated with it. That music, however, wasn't actually created by The Monkees, as you can imagine. This led to some less than happy feelings between band members and the production company, especially since the music had become so popular on records, radio, etc. Eventually, the foursome gained creative control over their stuff, but interest in being a proper band had waned. They created a weird feature film called Head that performed pretty poorly, and they officially broke up in 1970. But television syndication is a thing, or at least it was a thing. With cable television becoming more prominent in the 80s, reruns of the Monkees TV show led to a revival in interest of both the show and the band's music. The band reformed to do tours, record more albums, and stayed more or less together for another 35 years. The Monkees collectively sold more than 75 million records worldwide, and had a number of massive hits, some of which have been covered by multiple bands over the decades and have made a clear stamp on pop culture forever. In 2012, Davy Jones passed away, followed by Peter Tork in 2018. Mike and Mickey did a proper farewell tour in 2021 until Mike also sadly passed away as well, leaving Mickey the sole surviving Monkee as of this recording. So, Matt, what is your personal history with the Monkees?
So I'm going to start off by saying the Monkees have performed no small feat. 75 million records worldwide is nothing to bat an eyelash at. And it's also, I also want to point out that I, at no point in any of this or any other show that we will ever do where we come across musicians that we just don't care for the music or whatever, will I ever talk down on their talent. Because last time I checked, they have a record you could buy in a store, and I don't. So, that being said, for me, I don't have a lot of personal history with the Monkees. I think when I was a kid and TV was, in fact, syndicating, and, you'd have... growing up, I never had cable. I didn't get cable TV until I was, like, 26, and you're talking 2006, right? So I was always a basic network television kind of guy.
You were always a basic bitch.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but it's true. I guess if I own it, it's a thing. But I only had, network television. And, a lot of that stuff, I used to get a lot of those reruns, which is where, like, my love of things like, Gilligan's Island and The Honeymooners and The Twilight Zone, all comes from there, right? But The Monkees was certainly a show that I remember seeing a handful of episodes, and I mean, I was a kid, so I didn't like it. It wasn't a cartoon. I was a very, very one-dimensional child. I'm a fairly one-dimensional adult, but I was a very one-dimensional child. And when the cartoon stopped and the adults came on, I wasn't interested. And then growing up, I never really had much, I don't know, FaceTime with the Monkees, so to speak. It just wasn't in my purview. You know, I talk about it all the time. I was a very angry kid. I wanted, you know, fast, aggressive, dark. And the Monkees are the complete polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
Like they are the antithesis of that, if you will. But it was when I became a live sound engineer that I really had like my run-ins with quote unquote the Monkees. And I say quote unquote because up until the pandemic, where I was working, or I mean I'm still there, but we used to have a tribute band night, and we had a Monkees tribute band. And so I remember the first time they came, I thought, the Monkees, oh boy. And listen, the guys that played in the band did the tribute, they were nice, they were great guys, grossly talented. But I was treated to 2 hours of Monkees music. And maybe it was because they played the same 1 hour set in the second set, because some tribute bands will do that. Maybe it's the music. I'm not big on it. Maybe it's, you know, this kind of background residual of people always saying things like Monkees are the Beatles, Monkees are the Beatles, you know, Stones are the Beatles, and things like that, like all these weird music comparisons that I don't know. Now as an adult, I'm like, who cares? It's art. Just leave it alone, right? Monet or Van Gogh, Monet or Monet. Like, come on, now stop. Anyway, I always say that because I saw a bunch of Monets yesterday. That's a story for another story. Anyway, yeah, and like the revival of I'm a Believer with the Shrek film and stuff, and then of course it gets covered by Smash Mouth, which is like, you know, it's fun to hate on Smash Mouth. It's easy to hate on Smash Mouth, just the way it's fun and easy to hate on Nickelback, right? I don't know. I will say that the first, I won't. I'm getting ahead of myself. With all music though, I'm open. I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and keep my arms folded. Not that you could see it, and listen begrudgingly. I'm gonna listen with open ears, and you know, I've talked about it when we started the show. There's a lot of apprehension because music is very personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be the guy on the show who, you know, I would hate someone to do this to me if I brought a band to the table and you were like, oh, I've listened to these guys, I hate them. And then you just, you know, crapped on them the whole time. I would be devastated and I might actually quit the show. You know what I mean? It's that personal. That's how deep I feel with music. And I feel like everyone else feels that way too. So I understand that I'm coming into this very open. I've never been a fan. My experience with listening to the Monkees music has been like, okay, you know, that's pleasant. And having to mix the Monkees tribute band, you know, several times over my career, you know, for 2 hours a night, you know, it was a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, they're playing, nothing's on fire. Okay. I might not go out of my way to be the extraordinary sound engineer to, you know, I know where the solos are and I know where the harmonies, you know what I mean? Like, so that's my personal history with it.
All right, that's fair. I'm very curious what songs on the list you are overly familiar with and which ones you aren't. I don't know what songs.
As we go through them, I'll point them out.
So my history with the Monkees was as a little kid. We had saw the Monkees TV show on either Nickelodeon or MTV, like way back in the 80s when I was really young, and we had one of those little Fisher Price record players, and so my parents would buy us Monkees records to play on our little Fisher Price thing, and I still have those records. They're upstairs and they are beat to crap, and most of them aren't exactly listenable anymore. So I've replaced a few of them, but I always thought the show was goofy as a kid. I've gone back and tried to watch it as an adult, and it has a certain nostalgia to it, but it doesn't hold up as well as I wanted it to, per se.
I absolutely get that. Yeah.
So I haven't gone back and watched it anymore because I don't want to taint any of those memories. The music, on the other hand, has stuck with me for my entire life, and I think a big part of that is the actual performances themselves. You mentioned "I'm a Believer" by Smash Mouth, and I hate that song. I will never forgive Shrek or Smash Mouth for doing what they did to that song. Okay. And it's not very different from the original one. It's the performance that's different, and that's we'll burn that bridge when we get there. But oh,
it's fantastic. May the bridges you burn light the way in front of you. Anyway.
Otherwise, how can I see the bridge? It's dark outside.
What do you want me to do?
I'm hopeful that at the very least I can convey to you why I like this band as much as I do. These are, with the exception of one, these are all songs off of records that I had when I was a kid, and these are the ones that stuck out to me. There are a lot of Monkees songs that I don't particularly care for. I'm not a very big Beatles fan, so a lot of their stuff that reminds me of some of the stranger Beatles songs. You had recently mentioned the Aunt Griselda.
Yeah.
It's not a song I'm overly fond of, which is why it's not here on this list, but I've always been a very big fan of pleasant music, major chords, harmonies, and these are the songs that have stuck with me throughout the course of my life, and I hope that at the very least, by hearing them in their original forms, not by a cover band or anything, just the energy and the chemistry that was involved in these songs, and also the information about who actually wrote the songs, is somewhat helpful in at least illustrating why I love this band with every ounce of my heart. We have a round when Peter died, I went to my local record store and I bought a Best of the Monkees double record, because this was before my mom had found my original Monkees records in her garage. But I had recently inherited a record player, and I was like, I need to have the Monkees on vinyl. I just need to. And I found this really great 2-album set that had just about every one of my favorite Monkees songs on there. And it has since become one of my daughter's favorite records too, which has been a really, really fun experience for me. I'll say I want to listen to a record, and she'll go down there and be like, I want to listen to the Monkees, and she she has favorite songs. She hums the tunes, and it's like it's really timelessly good music in a lot of degrees. So I'm a bit nervous. I hope I can pull off what I wanted to pull off. I did have a little help from my good friend Ferg. He helped me narrow down these tracks. He actually introduced me to a track that I didn't know that made the cut, because I was so very impressed by it. He knows probably more about the Monkees than I do, but most of what we're going to be listening to, like I said, is from their first couple of records, which were the ones that I had when I was a kid, and I think really are the best of what they ever had to offer because of the specific magic and chemistry of those original recordings. There's just something special about them. So let's get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. If I may, I'm sorry. I know you just said let's get to work. If I may, I will say that I'm very curious to hear the original recordings, because you're right. My only exposure really is I'm a Believer, right? The original, and then the Smash Mouth version, and subsequent covers. Second is the first track we're going to listen to, and I'll talk about it after the track. And third is the cover band. And even as I've heard some fantastic cover bands in my career, right? I've worked a lot of them. You still can't capture that it factor the original band had. There's something there that no matter how hard you try, the band cannot encapsulate that. It's really just a time and a place kind of thing. So, and then the fact that Auntie Griselda is not on here, and then you said you don't like some of their more we'll say experimental music, is making me feel like this is going to be an episode where I go, oh well, I guess I'm a Monkees fan.
I guess we'll find out.
Which is something that happens to me a lot, you know. Oh, well,
Hey,
I guess I do like broccoli.
Turns out I'm a Depeche Mode fan. Who knew? Yeah.
Hey, look at that. And by the way, thank you everybody for all your comments about our episodes, and it's been great. So we'll get to you guys too.
All right, well, let's keep that train moving.
Oh, hasn't even played the first one yet, and we're already there. Oh, man.
All right,
don't make me take back what I said.
The first track comes from the very first Monkees album called The Monkees from 1966. This song is called The Last Train to Clarksville. It's one of their more popular hits. I did veer off the beaten path on a couple of these. These aren't all greatest hits. You know, these weren't all the big ones, but most of their songs did eventually find their way to radio, so that was kind of hard to avoid, you know, something that wasn't a quote-unquote hit. But this song was originally written by Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, because, as we mentioned before, the Monkees themselves didn't write most of their original music. The lead vocals on this are by the incomparable Mickey Dolenz, who just has a fantastic voice. And here is Last Train to Clarksville. Enjoy.
Take the last train to Clarksville and I'll meet you at the station. You can be here by 4:30, cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. No, no, no. No, no, no. Cause I'm leaving in the morning and I must see you again. We'll have one more night together till the morning brings my train and I must go. No, no, no. No, no, no. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Take the last train to Clarksville. I'll be waiting at the station. We'll have time for coffee, belated kisses, and a bit of conversation. No, no, no. No, no, no. Take the last train to Clarksville. Now I must hang up the phone. I can't hear you in this noisy railroad station. All alone I'm feeling low. No, no, no. No, no, no. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Take the last train to Clarksville and I'll meet you at the station. You can be here by 4:30, cause I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. No, no, no. No, no, no. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Take the last train to Clarksville.
That was Last Train to Clarksville off of the 1966 album The Monkees, sung by Mickey Dolenz. That was one of the earliest songs I think I ever heard by the band, besides obviously their theme song, which is what we opened the episode with, because that was the theme song to the TV show. But I think if I can remember correctly, because I was probably pretty young when I heard this for the first time, that guitar riff, I think, was one of the first songs I ever heard that really stuck in my head. Like, that's really good. That dun 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 dun. I really like that riff. And This definitely isn't my favorite Monkey song of all time, but I really, really enjoy this one because of that riff and just the way Mickey sings. He's got a heck of a voice, and his commitment to the vocals is very endearing. He's the way that he sings the words is like it's. I don't know if you've ever seen the Wallflowers perform. It's like dude's just singing the song, and like Mickey really, really got into it, and that level of commitment to singing vocals is something I always appreciate in bands, and it's one of the earliest examples of that I can remember hearing that I properly enjoyed.
So, first of all, I haven't heard the name The Wallflowers in like 15 years, maybe 20. So thanks.
Most boring band I ever saw live.
Oh, that's a shame.
I was so excited too. It was Counting Crows and Wallflowers, and like I liked the Wallflowers music. You know, it was good enough, but we were there for Counting Crows, and man, they just stood there, and I swear at one point he said, "All right, this will get your feet moving," and then he started playing the song. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like
your feet aren't even moving.
There's no energy here." And then Counting Crows came out and just annihilated the entire
blew the roof off. Yeah,
they're one of the best live bands I've ever seen. But sorry. Back to
that's interesting. We'll talk about that. All right, Last Train to Clarksville. Right. My first foray with this song is coming off of the Rock Band game.
Oh, this was in Rock Band?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yep. My friends and I had a band. We called ourselves Sunday Morning Peep Show because of a trip we took to Atlantic City. And we went in on a Friday. We left on a Sunday. We were going to catch the bus, and there was a strip club open on a Sunday morning, and we were making jokes about it. And my friend goes, "Sunday Morning Peep Show. That's a funny name for a band." And then 2 weeks later, we were like, "That's our band name for Rock Band." Anyway, right, first forays, Rock Band. I remember very vividly playing it. I would always play bass because I was a bass player, so I'd just play the bass. It's a good song. I think my biggest issue with it is that if the Beatles never existed, right? Which is like and you're not a big Beatles fan, so it's kind of a tough ask for people to try and imagine a world where the Beatles didn't exist and they didn't change the course of like how people wrote music and popular music and so on and so forth. This has a lot of Beatles influence in it.
It does, yeah.
There's no question about it. Like if this were sung by the Beatles, it would have been a Paul McCartney song. But again, I probably sound like I'm tearing it down, and I'm not attempting to. It's not my aim. Sonically, it's a really great track. I think this when was it? This was 66, so it was recorded probably 65, 66. It definitely sounds like it's recorded on a 4-track and then bust down to 2 tracks so they can add more tracks because the drums are all in the left side. Just those little artifacts of early multi-track recording and stuff that it's nerdy stuff there. I do the guitar, that guitar lead, dun, 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 like it, that stutter from the first to the second note drives me up a wall, but in a way that it's not forgetful or forgettable, I should say. That line will always be like, because he's playing whatever chord that is, and it's like, where's the note? Oh, there. Okay. There's a lot of interesting things going on. The backing harmonies are they're unexpected. Like if you've never heard this song before, they're very unexpected. There's like another guitar line towards the end that just plays like the one high note, me, like that kind of thing. And whoa, okay. But it's to me, it's a song, and it's a nice song. It's a Kris song. It's like you said, it's bright, it's major chords, it's upbeat, it's all smiles. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm familiar with Last Train to Clarksville, and I dig it.
Yeah, it's there because I feel like it's a very good representation of the kinds of things I like about the Monkees, and also I really wanted to get something off of that first record, just to kind of kick things off that wasn't themed to the Monkees. it is, I don't remember if I said this or just hinted at it. It is probably my least favorite of the songs that I picked. And probably one of the songs that I picked that was mostly because I felt it was important.
Right.
I do really like the song. I like it a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the stuff following is a little bit more after my heart than everything else. So
there's something really to be. I mean, and this was a time too when not necessarily every musician was writing their own music. I granted the Monkees are a special case because they were
a product.
Right. They might have been one of the first. No, they weren't the first like band slapped together. Certainly there had to be, girl groups before them and stuff like that in the Motown era. But the question I wanted to ask actually before we dove into more is everything on this episode is pretty much not them, right? They didn't write any of this.
Some of them wrote some of the songs that we'll be talking about.
Okay. I'm just curious as to like where the line is where it's like, okay, all this is during the television show era, and then this is after they call it quits on the show, they reunite and they start making more music. So please feel free to point that out for me, even though I've got the show notes.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember exactly where that line is. Well, they broke up in... Yeah, no, almost all of this is during the TV show era, with the exception of, I think, one track.
Number 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just looking at dates.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like I said, I'm just curious, and I want to see if that plays out a certain way. It's
that stuff that was afterwards that, like, I found there's definitely songs I like from that era, but they don't scream the Monkees to me, They don't. They feel like a different band because they're different writers, Right.
I was gonna say it's really the Mickey Dolans, and everyone. It's Mickey Dolan. It's
Mike Nesmith, Dave Jones. It's
whatever band that is.
Yeah. And there's definitely a lot of that same feeling in some of it, but I feel like a lot of the magic is missing. And most of the songs, I think a big chunk of what I chose for this episode was written by who wrote this next song, Neil Diamond. Yep. I didn't know till not that many years ago, but probably about 10 years ago is when I learned that Neil Diamond actually wrote most of my favorite Monkees songs. When the guy I was in the band with at the time was like a big Neil Diamond fan, and he found out that I was a big Monkees fan. He was like, "You should listen to more of his stuff because he wrote a bunch of these." And he gave me a mix CD that he called Neil Before Zod.
Neil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So, track 2 is off of their second album, More of the Monkees, from 1967. I love this song. This is called Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow. It was written by Neil Diamond, and lead vocals are by Davy Jones. And I always love Davy's voice. He sings some of my absolute favorite Monkees tunes, and this one's I don't know. It's just this is a really good tune. I love it with all my heart. So here is Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow by the Monkees. Enjoy.
Look out, here comes tomorrow. That's when I have to choose how I wish I could borrow someone else's shoes. Mary, oh, what a sweet girl, lips like strawberry pie. Sandra, long hair and beat girl, can't make up my mind. I see all kinds of sorrow, wish I only loved one. Look out, here comes tomorrow, oh how I
right, that is "Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow" by the Monkees. Now, as a little kid, I did not really kind of get the whole he's in love with two girls kind of a thing and trying to choose. Like, as a kid, the only thing that connected with me was "Look out, here comes tomorrow. Oh, how I wish tomorrow would never come." Like, oh no, something bad's going to happen tomorrow. I wish it wouldn't happen. That was kind of like the depth of my understanding of this song. And I think it's such a catchy tune. I love the guitar riffs. I love the really old sound of it. It's a song that warms my heart.
I too love old production.
Yeah.
I think of old, punk records and old jazz recordings and stuff like that. And there's a lot of what I love about the music is the fact that it was recorded way back when the tech wasn't so, evolved. So this piece of music, I do love the message too. Look out, here comes tomorrow. How I wish it wouldn't come. And you're right. Yeah, like, oh, something bad around the horizon. I also think like, I don't want to grow up. The marching of time and things like that. You said this was let me look back on the notes. This was Davy Jones singing. I never really, again, listened to the Monkees. I've never really heard Davy Jones. He's actually got a bit of a gruffness to his voice when he pushes. Like I wish I could find my own, because I love when singers do that. They have like a nice singing voice, and then when they push just enough, they get a little gravel in it, and it sounds great. Like some early grunge and stuff like that. That being said, the pipe organ is very funny to me. In the middle of it, like right smack in the middle of it.
It's a little, it's a product of its time.
Yeah, I also get it too, because it was a television show. So you're really trying to get all the dollars. So, if the kids are watching it, they're the ones that control the parents' purse strings. If the parents are watching it, they have the money, that sort of stuff. So I get it. So maybe the lightheartedness of the pipe organ and things like that are like, kids are gravitating towards it. I don't know. Musically, I had to hunt for the guitar. Like, I was like, okay, I definitely hear the bass, definitely hear the drums. I can hear the keyboard parts. Like, where's the guitar? It took me like a little bit to find. It was playing like major chords, and then kind of little jangly bits here and there. Like that's what I think of Last Train to Clarksville, by the way, is call those guitar parts jangly parts. Excuse me, your jangly parts are showing.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't even know. So right, good song. Real quick note about Neil Diamond. If you don't know Neil Diamond, or you don't know his body of work, it is one, massive, and two, he is a prolific writer.
Yeah.
He has written for just about everyone. And I had a Neil Diamond tribute. This guy used to drive up from South Carolina to New York to play our one show. And my God, one, he sounded exactly like Neil Diamond, and he was so talented. But then the first time he came, I was like, oh, Neil Diamond. Like, I was so very like, oh, whatever. And then he just plays all these songs, and I'm like, I didn't know Neil Diamond wrote that. I didn't know Neil Diamond wrote that. He wrote that? Oh my God. And then by the end of the first set, I was like, holy crap, I'm a Neil Diamond fan. And then he played the second set, and I was like, I'm absolutely a Neil Diamond fan. So
I think everybody is, and they just don't know it yet.
It's so true. That's why liner notes are so important. So.
Seriously. Well, we're going to go ahead and stick with Neil Diamond. This next track is another Neil Diamond, Davy Jones joint. This one I first heard on a greatest hits album that I had in the 80s. But it was originally not actually on a record. This was released as a single in 1967 called A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You. And I distinctly remember this being one of my favorite songs when it came on our records when we were kids. It's just got a really catchy chorus to it. It's another one. It's a similar song to Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow. I would think got kind of a similar feel, but it's just another one of my favorites. So here it is, A Little Bit of Me, A Little Bit of You, from the Little Bit of Me, A Little Bit of You single, released in 1967, sung by Davy Jones, written by Neil Diamond. Enjoy. That was A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You by the Monkees from 1967. And just to kind of put a little historical significance in my own personal discovery of how music works, this is one of the first songs that I can remember that introduced me into one of my favorite things in music, and that is the transition from minor chords to major chords. That change, illustrated by the bass here, really is what drove that. Is once it goes into that chorus and it changes into a major chord progression with that really fun bass line that just kind of dances around the melody a bit there. It's one of my favorite things in music, is that successful transition from minor to major chords. And this is one of my favorite illustrations of it. And I also, I'm a big fan of the lyrics in this one. Again, just remembering back to what I thought of this as a kid, and the idea that a relationship between two people was a partnership, where it's a little bit of me and a little bit of you, and there was compromise involved. It was just one of those things that stuck with me, between catchy lyrics, but also let things float around in the back of my head of thinking about what those lyrics might mean, which has never really been my strong suit when it comes to music. I'm very much a melody-driven person, which is a big part of why I love so many of these Monkees songs, is because their melodies are very pleasant and memorable. But this is just, it's a song that's always meant a lot to me, and every time it comes on, when I hear those first opening chords on the acoustic and the clapping, it just kind of puts my heart at ease and makes me very happy.
I'll agree with you. I like when a song does do that. It goes from majors to minors, and it modulates and all kinds of fun stuff like that. I really love that kind of dynamic in music making. I'm actually familiar with this song. This is probably one of the songs that the tribute band covered. Again, Neil Diamond's a powerhouse. And if you're familiar with Neil Diamond music, I feel like this has a Neil Diamond thumbprint on it, like very much distinguishable from some other tracks and so forth. Davy Jones does, try that 3 times fast, a fantastic job of singing. I like his voice. I like Mickey Dolenz too. He's got a nice voice, but I think I'm a Davy Jones kind of guy. There's something there. I think because I saw that little gruff side of him, I'm like, oh, all right, Davy, you're the bad boy. Ooh. Let's see. But again, their music, and I take, or I should say, take this with a grain of salt, because this was all, and I don't want to say written under duress, but it was written specifically for a television show, which was a product that had to maintain a certain level of standards. So, the music still for me falls into a place of like, yep, this is pleasant. This is nice. It's not offensive. It probably sold a bunch of cars or something. You know what I mean? Made some executives very rich. But again, not something I reach for. But all the same, the sheer level of talent that still goes into making this, to engineering it, to creating it, it's all still there. It's still, I guess the word is like airtight. You know what I mean? Like this is stuff that, regardless of where your leanings are, will hold up for a very, very long time.
It's a product, but it's a good one.
Right. I don't think there's a lot of music out there that I think doesn't hold up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless you're like, you have to be that niche fan. I'll say that about early hip hop. Early hip hop, for a lot of people felt like a gimmick, and now it's $1 billion industry, and it's, grown from, its humble beginnings. But some of that old stuff is a little tough to listen to because we've come so far. Right. Mm-hmm. But there's some stuff that will always, it'll be the Rock of Gibraltar. It'll always be there, So I think the Monkees music and music like this is that type of music. So.
Well, I'm glad you're not hating it so far.
Yeah. It's, what's that? It's better than bad. It's good.
Yeah, there you go. Like Log.
Yeah.
All right, so this next one here is this has always been one of my absolute favorite Monkee songs, and I never hear anyone talk about it. I've never seen it land on one of their greatest hits albums or whatever. This comes off of their second album, More the Monkees, from 1967. The song is called Laugh. I remember, listening to this record. This record was probably my favorite when I was a kid. It's probably still my favorite overall album of theirs is More of the Monkees. Has most of the ones that really resonate with me. But this tune was written by Phil Margo, Mitch Margo, Hank Medris, and Jay Siegel. I can't believe it took 4 people to write this song. And it was sung by Davy Jones. Again, this is just a goofy song. I think it's got a really fun... It's a very simple song, but the lyrics are just amusing. And there were all concepts that I could pretty much wrap my head around as a kid. And I just think it's a really catchy and fun song. And as far as Monkee songs are concerned, it's not one I ever hear anyone talk about. So it's a great tune. It's a good time. Here is Laugh by the Monkees.
Every face that I see is all wrapped up in bounds and unfortunately it kind of gets me down. Laugh, 'cause the music is funny. Yeah, the bass sounds offbeat. Ain't that neat? Laugh when you lose all your money, or you can't find your shoes to cover your feet. It's not so hard to see exactly what I'm after. Sometimes the tears should fall, but I require giggles and chuckles. Laugh when you keep it a secret, and it seems to be known by the rest of the world. Laugh when you go to a party and you can't tell the boys from the girls. Every face that I see is all wrapped up in frowns, and unfortunately it kind of gets me down. Yeah, 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 laugh at the things that are wrong. If you think it's a song, then laugh. Then laugh. Then laugh.
All right, that is Laugh by the Monkees. And you know what? It's one of the few Monkee songs that pops up with that off the top of my head that's not about being in love or about girls. It's just about, life's silly, man. Just laugh. That message has always stuck with me. I love how goofy and like kind of off kilter everything sounds. Like it's just like, what's the, like a wind up toy or something like that. It's just slightly off rhythm here and there, very cobbled together, very goofy. The backup vocals that are laughter. It's a goofy song. It always brings me joy. It's so carefree, and I love this song.
Yeah, I was you had said just before playing the song that the lyrical content were what do you call it, concepts that you could understand even as a kid. So I was like, all right, so let me really make a concerted effort to like really try and suss out the lyrics. And so there was a line where he says, so just laugh when you've lost all your money.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, that's probably what I'd do. I'd probably just laugh at myself, like,
Can't find shoes to cover your feet. What are you gonna do? Just laugh.
yeah, because the old saying goes, "Laugh today, cry tomorrow." And then look out, here comes tomorrow. Look at that! Look at that! Not even a fan.
Oh.
Not even a fan, and I did it. Anyway, I've said this to my wife, and I think she thinks I'm crazy. But one of my favorite things to do of all time is laugh. So I love like hanging out with my friends and breaking each other's chops. I love watching, television and movies that make me laugh. I love stand-up comedy. I love just kind of being a people watcher. and finding the absurdities in everyday life. I laugh at everything. I don't laugh like I'm the Joker where I need to be locked away, but I make a smirk. I make a mental note like that's weird. Like I feel like in another life I should have been a stand-up comic. When I was a kid, I wanted to be one. I don't have the mind to write stand-up comedy, but that's a whole other story. This one was good. He makes a comment about the bass line being a little off, and that's immediately when I was like, wait, let me listen to that bass line again. And I was like, oh, I guess so. Yeah, it's all a little off kilter. The whole track is just off kilter enough that it might even be a little maddening, to the point where it makes you laugh, like the Joker, maybe. I don't know. Very, very interesting put together, right? Like, obviously we're still kind of recording primitively, multi-tracking, but a very, very interesting overall recording. Effective, nonetheless. Good song though. I enjoyed it. I really especially enjoyed the message. Obviously, hey man, just laugh it off, right? Don't take things too seriously. I remember I had a friend who was a girl, not a girlfriend, but a girlfriend. She had a thing in her bedroom, like a poster or something. It was like, don't take life too seriously. No one gets out alive. And that made me laugh. So this is very much right up there with that.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
All right. Next up comes, this is one of my favorite choruses ever. There's something about the melody of the chorus in this song that it's just one of my favorite things ever. This is the song is called What Am I Doing Hanging Around? It's from Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Limited, also from 1967, because they were cranking them out in 1967. And I guess when you don't have to actually write the music, it's a lot easier to just crank them out.
Especially when you have a cracked team. It looks like there's several pods of people.
It was not just like Neil Diamond didn't just do it. It was like everybody. They had like 3 or 4 teams of people just cranking out tunes for these people to perform.
Banging out songs, yeah. And all you got to do is show up and record them.
Yeah. This song was written by Michael Martin Murphey and Owen Castleman. Lead vocals here by Mike Nesmith. It's the first song that you'll hear from him singing lead on. Mike was my sister's favorite. He had the green hat, the green wool hat. I love this song to death. It's much more country influenced than anything else that we've heard so far. But the chorus on this one there's like an innate sadness to this song that has always stuck with me, and it's I think it's a wonderful piece of music. So here is What Am I Doing Hanging Around by the Monkees. Enjoy.
Just a loudmouth Yankee, I went down to Mexico. I didn't have much time to spend, about a week or so. There I lightly took advantage of a girl who loved me so. But I found myself thinking when the time had come to go, what am I doing hanging around? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antone. What am I doing hanging around? She took me to the garden just for a little walk. I didn't know much Spanish and there was no time for talk. Then she told me that she loved me not with words but with a kiss. And like a fool I kept on thinking of a train I could not miss. What am I doing hanging round? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antone. What am I doing hanging round? Well, it's been a year or so, and I want to go back again. And if I get the money, well, I'll ride the same old train. But I guess your chances come but once, and boy, I sure missed mine. And still I can't stop thinking when I hear some whistle crying. What am I doing hanging round? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antone. What am I doing hanging round? What am I doing hanging round? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antone. What am I doing hanging round? What am I doing hanging round? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San
Was What Am I Doing Hanging Around by the Monkees, sung by Michael Nesmith. I love the harmonies on that chorus for some... I just think it's such an amazingly put together melodic thing there. And again, as a kid, I don't think I really caught the entire meaning of the lyrics of, going to Mexico, finding someone, and then just thinking about how important your responsibilities are instead of following your heart, and then leaving and missing a big opportunity. But the feeling of that sadness of missing out on something, of making a choice and it having some sort of consequences on the rest of your life, was definitely something that I think is conveyed so well by the music itself, and just by the melody of how it's just ever so slightly sad. Like it's very country and very kind of upbeat and plucky, but it's got just a twinge of sadness to it. And I think it's the harmonies in the chorus that really kind of hit that home. And it was a feeling, this song elicited a feeling that I was not old enough to understand at the time, just through its music. And I always thought that was really impressive. But I like Nesmith's voice. He definitely has a very unique voice compared to Davey and Mickey, and Peter didn't really sing that often. But their voices all work so well together, and being as different as they are. And this just has some of my favorite harmonies in any song I've ever heard. And I'm sure nostalgia plays a big part in it, but it's still it fills me with the feels every time I hear it.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed that one. If I'm not mistaken, I think the band also covered this one too, because it sounds very familiar. And if they didn't cover it, it probably sounds familiar because it really hits that kind of 70s country nail on the head. I want to see the writing staff again really quickly.
Michael Martin Murphy and Owen Castleman.
Nah, I'm not familiar with those names. I thought maybe they would have been ghostwriters for someone else, but a lot of the country that I listen to is not ghostwritten, really. But anyway, I like this one a lot, actually. So far, of everything that I've heard, I think this is the standout for me. Again, so far.
Me too. It's my favorite track so far.
Ah, okay, cool. I gotta agree with you. I the message, the lyrics, the storytelling, fantastic. What am I doing hanging around? Like, I really, this is a great thing, but I really do need to go. I can't be here, and I shouldn't be here. And then, of course, the leaving, and then the thoughts. There's a lot to it. It's a very complex. It's funny because it's a complex song for a TV show that probably, was on the goofy side and probably maybe didn't have complex themes. I don't know. I've never really watched.
I don't think it did.
Yeah, I don't think shows like
I don't remember it super well, but I don't think it did.
I don't think shows like The Love Boat were really, bringing in, deep storylines with double and triple cross. You know what I mean? So, I can't imagine the Monkees were doing it either. But this is a deep song, honestly. Sound wise, it's great. They got the great guitar twang for that 70s, that late 60s, early 70s country. You're right. The harmonies on the chorus are fantastic. When a band hits harmonies, right, the hairs on the back of your neck should stand up.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I like Dispatch so much. It's vocal harmonies are just
and they're
get that
rare,
stuff right.
Yeah, they're rare because when they hit them, ooh, my goodness, it's a straight bullseye.
Yeah.
And this was nothing short of that. The harmonies hit here are beautiful. Great song. Big fan of this one.
Outstanding. All right, we're getting another Mickey track here. This I like a lot. This actually reminds me. Are you familiar with the movie That Thing You Do?
So, Amazon was having a sale for $2. I have Stars, and I have it for 2 months at $2 a month, right? I went through the entire movie list, and I saw all the movies that I needed to watch, and I made a list. That Thing You Do is like third on that list.
Ah, wonderful.
So I know it. I'm very familiar of it. I just have never watched it.
That's one of my all-time favorite movies, and this I have to assume that what this is similar to something that happens in the movie, because we mentioned before, A Little Bit of Me, A Little Bit of You, A Little Bit of You came out as a single in 1967. This song that we're going to listen to, the girl I Knew Somewhere, is a B-side from that, and it is actually written by Mike Nesmith, one of the Monkees, which makes me think that this was one of those things that he was pushing for. You know, I can do this too. You don't need to write our songs. And so they let him have a B-side for a single with a song that he wrote. And it turns out it's one of my favorites. This is a wonderful song. Like I said, it was a B-side from the 1967 single, Little Bit of Me, Little Bit of You. This is written by Mike Nesmith, sung by Mickey Dolenz. It is a fantastic song. It's called The Girl I Knew Somewhere. Enjoy.
You tell me that you've never been this way before. You tell me things I know that I've heard somewhere. You're standing in the places and you're staring down through faces that bring to mind traces of a girl that I knew somewhere. I just can't put my finger on what it is that says to me, watch out, don't believe her. I can't give any reasons, girl, my thoughts are found out in a whirl. I just can't think who in the world was that girl. I know I met her somewhere. Some way, somehow, the same thing was done. Someone, somewhere, did me the same wrong. Well, goodbye, dear, I just can't take this chance. Goodbye, dear, I just can't take this chance. My fingers are still burning from her last time. And if your love was not a game, I only have myself to blame. The times maybe I can't explain. Just ask the girl that I knew somewhere. And if your love was not a game, I only have myself to blame. The times maybe I can't explain. Just ask the girl that I knew somewhere.
All right, that was The Girl I Knew Somewhere by Mike Nesmith, sung by Mickey Dolenz, by the Monkees. It's a little harpsichord heavy, but outside of that, I think it's a fantastic song. I think it's super catchy. I love the way Mickey, again, just he's very sincere when he sings. You know, he really commits to it, and his voice carries this song wonderfully. And just I think it's a great song.
I'll have to agree with you there. I definitely feel the I guess the emotion in his voice. Like the words seem very genuine that he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll definitely agree with you. I actually kind of like the harpsichord. I thought it was very
I didn't mean to say it was a bad thing. Just it's a very surprisingly harpsichord heavy song.
It's just a thing. I get it. I feel like the harpsichord might almost be, in my mind's eye, the Monkees, the Monkees trademark sound. Like I feel like when I think of the Monkees, I think of kind of this harpsichord-driven keyboard stuff. Not that the music's driven by it, but that it's the leading patch.
I feel like it's a very 60s thing. I don't know, 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
It feels very of that time.
Yeah, you're right. It's very.
I also have to assume the Monkees did it. The Beatles did it too, and this was driven
Oh,
by that in
absolutely.
some way, shape, or form. Again, I'm not a huge understanding of the Beatles, but it's just yeah.
There's a song the Beatles did, and it's all harpsichord, and I can't think of what it is. And everyone who knows it by name is just screaming at their player, and I hear it in my head. Oh hell! I'll have it. I promise. I'm sorry. I'm such a failure because I'm such a big Beatles fan, but I'm so bad with song titles. It's really not something I've been ever good with. At any rate, this was a good one too. It was nice and pleasant. It had a nice it has a nice beat to it. I actually really like the drums. Doom da da da. That kind of like I appreciate kind of a little left to center drum patterns. It's refreshing because everything can just be boom that, and of that nature. So to hear a little, I hate to say it, to put a little Ringo on it, because Ringo was very good at that sort of stuff. That was his wheelhouse. But yeah, a good piece of music, all the same. And I do appreciate his voice. Again, like I said early on, and you keep reiterating, is the authenticity in his voice when he sings. So
I mean, like, we're talking about music that was like, bottled and packaged and ready to go, and they perform it with enough heart to make it feel like it means something. I think there's definitely something to be said for that, and I just love it.
yeah, absolutely. Like this could very easily have fallen victim to just kind of the machine, like a cookie cutter, whatever. It could have just very easily been four guys collecting a paycheck, and they didn't care.
And you know what? I think if it did, then they never would have. I don't think it ever would have taken off the way that it did. It's there was this very specific magic to all the people involved coming together in something that shouldn't have worked as well as it does, and turned out to ultimately do.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, next up we have a song, another one that I'm really fond of. It's called "I'll Be Back Up on My Feet." This is from their album "The Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees" from 1968. This one was written by Sandy Linzer and Denny Randell. The lead vocals are here again by Mickey Dolenz. This is it's a fun song. It's got an interesting rhythm to it, and it's another one that's always stuck with me. So here is "I'll Be Back Up on My Feet" by the Monkees. Enjoy.
Goodbye, but don't you fear. Though the road is dark and I might fail to find the end, I won't disappear. I'll be back upon my feet. I'll be back upon my feet.
was I'll Be Back Up on My Feet from the Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees. What'd you make of that one?
Is he saying I'll find my boots and go?
When I find my boots, I know I've got to go. I think that's the lyrics.
Okay. That's I mean, that makes a ton of sense because, I'll be back up on my feet and whole nine. So this is definitely a song that I feel is indicative of the Monkees. I think like everything in it screams the Monkees. Like if you were to play me a song like this, I would ask you, is this from the Monkees? So it has everything that, we've seen on display already. The major chords, the upbeat rhythms, the what do you call it? The kind of lyrical content I've kind of grown accustomed to thus far. Mm-hmm. The horn section was a surprise.
Yeah, I love that.
A pleasant surprise nonetheless. I don't mean to say like, oh, how dare they? It was a great addition. This was recorded in
68.
68. Okay. That's interesting. I'm just trying to think of the what do you call it? I'm trying to think of how the production went for that, but I won't go down that road. It's good. I did like the kind of lyrical content, the bit of the play I'll be up on my feet again. As soon as I find my boots, I'll go. Like
it's a looking high, it was a looking high, looking low, and when I find my boots, I know I gotta go. That's
I'll be up on my feet again. There's like, I don't know, there's something I take away from a very procrastination because I very much can do that. It's like, I'll get up and do the dishes as soon as this as soon as we go to commercial break, or as soon as this scene is over or whatever. I make those little deals with myself. So this definitely feels like a little deal with someone, if not themselves or something. It's a good song.
Cool. Yeah, glad you liked it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a few left here. This next one is one that I've only heard for the first time pretty recently. I kind of didn't listen to most modern Monkee stuff because I was very set in my, I heard some of their 80s material and was like, this isn't for me. Apparently in 2016, they came out with a new record, which I believe was their last proper record as the Monkees, which was called Good Times. My friend Ferg introduced me to this one. I asked him, were there any oddball songs that I didn't think of that should be involved? And this was one of the ones he pointed out. This was written by Ben Gibbard, who is, come on, brain, you can do this. I forgot to write this one down. Ben Gibbard is from the Postal Service.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Death Cab for Cutie and the Postal Service. And this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous song. Lead vocals by Mike Nesmith with Mickey Dolenz on backup. It's just a really, really pretty song. It's called Me and Magdalena. I had never heard it before. I'm really glad I did. In fact, this album's pretty solid. It's not amazing. It doesn't have that nostalgic hook that the stuff that I'm used to did, but I pretty well enjoyed it, more than I really thought I would. But this song was a real standout. It's just a really, really, really pretty song, and Mike and Mickey singing, even in 2016, their voices are just beautiful in this one. So here is Me and Magdalena by the Monkees. Enjoy.
as I do in this light she's under. Me and Magdalena, always leaving early and sleeping late. Secluded in the canyon, lost within a turn of fate. But know everything lost will be recovered when we drift into the arms of the undiscovered. And I don't know if I've ever loved any other half as much as I do in this light she's under.
Was me and Magdalena by the Monkees. And thank you, thank you very much, Ferg, for introducing me to that song. That is one gorgeous song right there. And Mike and Mickey still sounding that good in 2016. Well done, guys.
That was a really beautiful song. There's something about this is gonna sound really like like a backhanded compliment, but I don't mean it that way. There's something about artists who get older and you can hear it in their voice.
Yeah.
But they still have it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of those songs where you had two musicians, two singers, who've been, singing their whole lives, and then they do something very late in their careers. But I mean, the dude from the Postal Service, Death Cab for Cutie, right? I'm not a big Death Cab fan. A Postal Service I do enjoy, not Death Cab. I think he's a really great writer. And then to have the distinct honor of being able to write a song for the Monkees has got to be a huge, huge thing for a lot of people, right? So with that comes great responsibility. And I think that what was put together was a good song that really takes the sound that the Monkees had and maybe makes it a wee bit more modern. Mm-hmm. Maybe because it's the recording technology in the time or whatever it may be. Maybe it's age. I don't know. It brings them into a more modern setting. But of course, we're talking about stuff that was written and recorded in the late 60s, early 70s and stuff. So, you're looking at a 40-year, 50-year difference. But that was a really beautiful track. I really appreciated it a lot. Like, the lyrics they weren't complicated. They're very sweet to an extent. They have their voices sound great. Like the processing just to kind of get them, I talk about it a lot, to get it in the same sonic space, to get them to sound they're in the same room together, because multi-track recording can take away a lot of that. Mm-hmm. It was a very poignant, sweet little song, and I really, really liked that.
Yeah, me too. It's a very big fan of that one. I don't know Postal Service and Death Cab very much, but apparently I'm going to. I bought my wife tickets to see them.
Hey!
For Christmas. These guys, on the other hand, I will always regret not pulling together the funds to go see them while I still had the chance. They were touring around this 2016 and around that area. They were when Peter was still alive, they were touring and doing this farewell tour, and I almost bought tickets to see them a couple of times, but they were pretty pricey, and I was like, no, I'll pass. And I really regret that. I wish that I could have seen these guys perform live before it was too late. And but it is what it is. I probably would have discovered this song a lot sooner had I done that. But thank you very much, Ferg, for introducing me to that song, which I love with all my heart. All right, so the theory was, by this point, that I had bought enough goodwill for the Monkees with you to play this song.
Oh
next.
no! Oh no! The plan revealed.
The plan was that, all right, let me show you what these guys can really do, and then try to listen to this song with fresh ears. Because, like I said before, I will never forgive Shrek and Smash Mouth for doing what they did to this song. It's this song. I loved this song when I was a kid. This was another standout for me. Not because it was a single, not because it was famous or anything. I didn't know anything about the radio or anything like that when this was out. This was just, I had the records, and this was one of those songs that I just gravitated to. This is "I'm a Believer" from More of the Monkees from 1967. The song was originally written by Neil Diamond and was subsequently brutalized by Smash Mouth. And the thing is,
don't hold back. By the way,
makes me so mad. So many people know this song because of that. So many people don't even know the original version of this song because the Smash Mouth one from Shrek, that's what this song is from, with Eddie Murphy singing as the donkey about the dragon. And it's this song in its original form is so much more special than that new one. There's an energy to it. They didn't even change all that much for the Smash Mouth one. They even tried to mimic a lot of the way that Mickey sings it. And there is just, they don't have it. The Monkees did. And that was the reason this song became one of their biggest hits, was because this song is really freaking good. It's just, you got to remove what you know about it currently in order to properly appreciate it. It's like appreciating the original Super Mario Brothers theme, you know? Like, I've heard a bajillion times. When was the last time you actually listened to it, though? Like, I mean, really stopped and listened to it and appreciated how well that song is written. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for with "I'm a Believer," because I can't stand that new version, but I still get so much joy from listening to this original version because it's such a fun song. It's such a good song, and it has so much more to offer than Smash Mouth and Shrek. So
the disdain in your voice,
and like, I don't dislike Shrek. Right? I don't. The first movie is pretty okay. It's as far as I'm gonna go, but it's pretty okay. It's got some genuine good gags in there. It's ugly as sin, but that's fine. Is what it is. The bit Eddie Murphy did about parfaits is genuinely funny, but what they did to this song, one of my favorite songs, when I remember first time seeing that movie and then hearing that song at the end and being like, why are you doing this?
Why?
Stop that. The original's right there. You're not even changing it. You're just, stop that. Anyway. So if you haven't heard this in a long time, or if you've never heard the original flavor, I present to you one of my favorite songs, "I'm a Believer" by the Monkees. Enjoy.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales, and for someone else, but not for me. Our love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. Love was more or less a given thing. Seems the more I gave, the less I got. What's the use in trying? And all you get is pain. When I needed sunshine, I got rain. Oh, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. sing. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Oh, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. It's a solid face. Now I'm a believer. I'm not a trace of doubt in my mind. Said I'm a believer. Yeah, 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 yeah. Said I'm a believer. Yeah.
It's such a fantastic showcase of how good of a singer Mickey Dolenz is. His range throughout the course of that song is just it's silky smooth, which is so different from the SOS pad that was the Smash Mouth singer's voice grinding his way through this song. It's such a this is such a fun song, and it's delivered so well, and I'm like 99% sure I hear Davey singing backup on this one. There's just like somebody's singing backup with a British accent, so I have to assume it's Davy Jones. I can't confirm that, but it all just comes together so brilliantly, and it's I don't know what that keyboard sound is, that do 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 do. I don't know what that is, but I remember the first time I heard this song being like, ooh, it's just a really good good boppy tune. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's so worthy of being such a popular song. And if you haven't listened to that version in a long time, you're welcome, because I clearly have no love for the Smash Mouth cover.
Yeah, it's pretty apparent. So to answer your question, that opening sound effect, that's a pipe, like a pipe organ.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
All right. Yeah, no problem. Now on to the harder part. How do I feel about this track? So here's the thing. I think this is a great song. I think that for me, it fell victim to just getting smashed down my throat.
Yeah.
Right? I think that there's a lot of bands that all of us listen to, musicians, artists, singers, whatever you want to, however they identify, that if they become popular and you happen to have access to those avenues where their music is posted a lot, it gets crammed down your throat. This movie was ridiculously popular, Shrek, and, you know, this was the tie-in that made it more money, and I'm sure that the guys in the band weren't upset that there was a resurgence in the song and they were getting royalties, and, well, no. I'm sure Neil Diamond wasn't upset. Excuse me. They don't own any of this. What, are you kidding me? But I will say that it almost is a Travisham mockery that Smash Mouth covered it. And again, it's not a terrible cover, right?
It's not. It's just so pointless. They didn't do anything to it. They didn't do anything to it. They didn't put their own personality to it other than he sang it. Like, they barely changed the instruments. Like, the original's right there. And
it could have been a karaoke track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about it that just lost so much personality. And even every time I hear this song, I can't help but think of, comparing it to that Smash Mouth one. They didn't necessarily ruin it for me, but they've changed it forever for me. It's hard for me to listen to this song and not hear his gravelly voice destroying this song over when I listened to this good one, which was one of my favorite songs as a kid.
There's a time and a place, right, for everything in this world, in this universe. There's a time and a place. I think his gravelly voice wasn't right for the song. I have to 100% agree with you. Hearing the original and hearing who was singing this? This was Dolan?
Is Mickey, yeah.
Okay, so having Dolan sing it, right? We talked about it through the course of the episode on the tracks that he sings. He's very genuine. His voice, his timbre, his delivery is very genuine. So, like, hearing him say things like, when I saw her face, like, I'm a believer. I believe him. Like,
Yeah.
he'd never seen anyone so beautiful in all his life that it made him believe in something bigger than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, every lyric that he's sung that I've heard so far, I believe every ounce of it, that it comes out of him, that it's from deep down inside of him, even though he didn't write it, that he believes it 110%. And that, to me, for music is important. I don't want to listen to a song about a bunch, by a bunch of ridiculously rich kids screaming about how hard they have it and how poor they are. I don't believe it. There's nothing, I believe absolutely nothing about it, right? So in this case, when you have someone like the dude from Smash Mouth, who's got a gravelly voice, he's got that raspy voice, which I do enjoy. I do enjoy some Smash Mouth stuff, right? It just doesn't work for this track. This track, original track by the Monkees, is the song, right? There shouldn't have been another version of it. They should have just used the Monkees. It should have just been that.
Unless you're going to do something interesting with it. I am all for doing covers of songs if you do something interesting with it.
But let me ask you this question. Like, so I agree with you. Like, make it your own, right? Do something with it, right? But what if they gave it to a band and they did something interesting with it and it was absolute dog mess?
Oh, you know what?
How much would you have been more hurt or less hurt than this Smash Mouth version?
I think I would have been less hurt because I wouldn't think about it so much.
Okay.
It wouldn't. It doesn't line up. Like, it doesn't lay right on top of it. Like, he sang the end, like where Mickey's just kind of, I'm a believer, yeah. Like, that has a very ad-libish feel, and he did that, like, down to the inflections, just tried to impersonate, and it's like that. It just makes it feel so much more attempting to overwrite than doing its own thing. I will forgive a creative approach that sucks because if it's creative,
Sure.
And,
Okay.
And there's sometimes that works out amazingly well. I think of like Ben Folds doing the cover of In Between Days by The Cure. Like, just infused it with this crazy amount of energy, and it's like it doesn't change that song at all for me. Like, it doesn't change anything about the original for me. Yeah. It's like, because the original is such a unique, distinct thing. But once you start doing a cover that's just so on the nose, it makes it can detract, especially when it becomes so ubiquitous. I mean, Shrek and that song was everywhere.
It was a juggernaut.
Yeah.
You could not go anywhere and not, like, have something of it somewhere. It's absolutely true. All right, I appreciate that. I absolutely get where you're coming from, and I can, to a great extent, I can definitely get that, because there are some songs that I really enjoy that have had some god awful covers, and because they're so bad, I've forgotten about them. Like, my mind is like, they don't exist.
When you think about the new one, it's like you can't even sing the cover version along with it in your own head because it's just too different. No.
Yeah, no. So, all right. So I appreciate that. Now, back to the original. I'm gonna say that you didn't have to butter me up with 8 tracks of varying degrees of the Monkees, with that beautiful 2016 song by some aged Monkees. You didn't have to do any of that. The song, for me, whether I like, hate, or am indifferent to the Monkees, the song I'm a Believer, to me, is one of those songs that is absolutely tried and true, will always be in the pantheon of good music. There are songs that transcend, like, album sales, platinum, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. They transcend all that, and they're just some songs that will always be in the conversation of good music, and just this is one of them. I think this is one of those songs that 50 years from now, the way we look at, like, Beethoven and Mozart stuff, we're like, it's the classics. Someone's gonna be like, hey, did you ever hear of the Monkees? Check this song out. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is it's a really well written song. I mean, again, Neil Diamond, like, you cannot go wrong with Neil Diamond. I beseech you to listen to Neil Diamond. Go look at the stuff that Neil Diamond's written, not recorded, and just blow yourself away. A classic banger from Neil Diamond through the lens of the Monkees. Like, it was, if you ask me, this was the exact right place, right time, lightning in a bottle, perfect pairing of talent and production. I've never hated this song. I hated what became of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We've beaten that horse to death with Smash Mouth. I won't go into it anymore. But again, that idea of getting this thing crammed down your throat, it makes you so sick. And I genuinely get deep adverse feelings to stuff like that. My wife will make fun of me because people will tell me things like, "Oh, you like this? You're going to like this. You're going to like this." And please don't tell me what I'm going to like.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, "Hey, if you're a fan of this, check these guys out." I appreciate that more because now the hype train isn't there.
Yeah.
So you get this hype train, you get this juggernaut of a movie that's just pushing this song. The music videos everywhere. Smash Mouth's on top of the world in Bizarro Land. It's cats and dogs living together. It's madness in the streets. Great song, hands down. Great song. It for me, it will live in the pantheon of great music. Period.
Well, similarly to that, or at least in my pantheon, we come to our last track of the night, the day, whatever it is.
Wherever you are.
Wherever you are. This is, if I had to list my top 5 songs ever by anyone, this would be in the top 5. This is the first song I ever truly loved as a kid that was just like landed in my head on every level. Just this song is called Daydream Believer. I'm sure you've heard it before. The song is it's from The Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees from 1968. It was written by Jon Stewart, not that Jon Stewart.
Oh.
At least I don't think that Jon Stewart.
I don't know that he was alive yet, but sure.
His name's spelled a little differently, but the lead vocals in this one are by Davy Jones. I remember seeing the music video for this one, or seeing it pop up on an episode of the show, and it's just one of those choruses that I just love it. I just love the chorus. The melody of the chorus of this song is one of the most perfect melodies I've ever heard. Just the right degree of harmonies. It's a gorgeous song, and if you've never heard it before, I'd say I don't know how, but I don't think this song's been all that popular for a long time. Except they did. Oh boy, one of the original trailers for WandaVision used a really creepy version of this song. It was amazing because they just took the lyrics. They didn't re-record it. It was just like Davy's lyrics, like a really creepy version on the trailer.
I was going to ask if they had done the female slow, deep echo.
I'm certain somebody has. They must have at this point. No, they just took like the lyrics, like the actual recording of Davy singing, and made it like creepy over the WandaVision thing. I said, this is really freaking cool. I'm excited for this show, but now you're shoving one of my favorite songs over it and not destroying it. Thank you. Thank you.
Smash Mouth, you could learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness, that got me so excited. Same with similarly thing, got me super excited. I don't know if you saw the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And they used they did a similar thing with In the Meantime by Space Hog, another one of my favorite songs. Oh,
I love Space Hog. Oh my god, I love that song.
Oh, that's such a great song, and they use it. It just seriously, just watch the Guardians 3 trailer just for that. The treatment they did of that song in the trailer is like, it's like a really crazy epic version of that song. It's nuts.
I have a really great Space Hog story that I'll save for another time.
Excellent. All right, so honest to goodness, one of my favorite songs ever. I know it's cheesy and I don't care. I stand behind this 100 trillion times percent. This is Daydream Believer by the Monkees. Enjoy.
7A.
What number is this, Chip?
7A.
Okay, no, don't get excited, man. It's because I'm short, I know.
Oh, I could hide neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings.
The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. My shaven razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? You once thought of me as a white knight on his steed. Now you know how happy I can be. Oh, and our good time starts and ends without dollar one to spend. But how much, baby, do we really need? Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming?
All right, that was Daydream Believer by the Monkees, and it's one of my it's
Okay.
I'm bugging. No, it's just that song just rips my heart. You know, it's just I love specifically the harmony on, and I'm pretty sure it's just Davey harmonizing with himself, but the oh, what can it mean to that specific piece of song right there is just perfection. It is some of the most perfect, beautiful music I've ever heard in my life. It's nuts. But really the whole song is just such a really, it's super sappy, very lovey, and I just don't care. It's just like that's me. I've always been a hopeless romantic, and this song is just one of the most hopelessly romantic songs ever. I mean, it says something about a knight on his steed, for crying out loud. It doesn't. The only thing cheesier than this is cheddar. It's just it's so. I don't care. It's just he sings it with conviction, and that's what makes it special. It's such a special song, so much so that they kept that goof from the beginning. You know, about 7A. Like that's part of the track, and because there was an energy, there was a personality to this that just exudes every note in it. It's marvelous, and I love it to death.
So this song is definitely sung by a hopeless romantic for hopeless romantics.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking you because I have that in me too. There's certainly I think we all have a bit of hopeless romantic in us. I think that's what, keeps us going from time to time, and so on and so forth. I think one of my big takeaways from this episode, and from the bands really, is that despite being a group of guys that were essentially slapped together, and their early careers were entirely written for them and kind of predetermined, they really show up in such a way that, and I had made a comment, and so did you, where you wouldn't expect them to, meaning they very easily could have just collected the paychecks, right? but they showed up and they did their absolute best, and it comes through in everything, especially the singers.
Mhm.
Each Nesmith, Davy, and Dolan's, they all bring to the table this authenticity that, like I said, could absolutely have just been missing, and they very easily could have just been another, like, I don't know, Partridge Family, Brady Bunch, you know what I mean? Just manufactured and just for a payday. So if nothing else, I really appreciate that, and this song is no shortage of that. Like, I hear him singing, and like when he says, like, you thought I was a white knight on a steed, and I'm like, man, do I get that? Because, like, you know, you feel your way about yourself, right? And your partner feels a different way. 9 times out of 10, your partner usually sees you in a better light than you see yourself, right? Because you live inside your head, you know, all your weird dark thoughts and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
But actions speak louder than words, and you go and you walk the dog at 3 a.m. in the rain. You run to the store and get ice cream because there's a craving. You know, you do all these things, and you're a white knight to someone else, but not to you. And, like, oh, I feel that. I really, 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 really feel that. And there's a lot of the lyrics that are here. Even the lyrics that I didn't catch, the vocal performance has such a level of authentism. Authentism? That's not a right word.
Authenticity.
Thank you. Authenticity. Oh, God. There's such a level of authenticity to it in the performances that are fantastic. So, yeah, that's and yes, that's a song that the band did cover. It's one of their bigger ones too. So the minute he starts singing, so yeah, I know, I definitely know this one. But again, as you said at the beginning of the show, hearing the original recordings versus a cover band, because I don't care how good a singer you are, right? Sometimes 1% of the time you get someone that sounds exactly like the original singer. Everything else is just an impression. And so to get the original is, you know, go to the source, go to the original source, even if you like the cover more, because there's 1 or 2 instances where I like the cover more than the original, but go to the original source at the very least, you know, and try it, just try it out. And at the very least, you could say, you know what, I listened to the original. I grew up on the cover. I like the cover a little bit more. I appreciate the original, but I like the cover more. Except for Smash Mouth. So, final thoughts. I appreciated everything you put in front of me. It doesn't make me a Monkees fan by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to run out and buy Monkees material. I, however, have a better appreciation for the group, for the writers who put put in the hard work to craft these tracks, the lyrics and music and stuff. And it just reiterates how much of a boss bitch Neil Diamond is.
Well, that's all I had hoped for, was to get you and to at least an appreciation for the Monkees, because I know that
the way I said it to you after we went off the air, I was like, I hate the Monkees. And I felt so terrible saying that to you.
But
like,
that's okay.
I didn't. It's like I said, music is so personal to me, and I might have cried if you had said that to me. If you're like, I hate Depeche Mode, I'd have been like, I have to go now.
But I took it as a challenge, because the point is, like, even if you had picked a band that I don't like, the idea would be to go in with,
it's true.
Let me try to hear it from your perspective. Let me try to experience this through your eyes and see why you like it, and see if it connects with me any better. Which is happened to me a lot with music in the past. I would hear a song and, like, not really care for it at all, and then somebody else would say, I love this song, and talk to me about why they love that song. And the next time I hear it, I'd be like, oh, I get it. It didn't. This didn't connect with me before, but with your excitement added to it, I understand it now, and now I like this song too. It's that kind of a thing. And really, it's very easy to write this band off as a joke because, I mean,
Right.
it is intended as a joke. You know,
Yeah.
it was, they were formed for a sitcom, like they are a product, but something really special came out of it and shaped so much of what I like about music. With these songs, and really these are these songs that I lined up here are just these are the bedrock of my musical personality. It's thinking back to listening to these songs on that Fisher-Price record player, and just the messages that came across. We mentioned the White Knight lyric, but I just remember being a kid and not even understanding all the lyrics, but just what I gleaned off of them about what, and this is, you know, overly sappy talking about the Monkees, but really what love between people is. I mean, that lyric is, "You once thought of me as a white knight on a steed, now you know how happy I can be. And our good times start and end without $1 to spend, but how much, baby, do we really need?" And that, you know, we were pretty poor growing up, you know. I mean, I talk about having a record player, my parents buying me records and stuff, but we did not have much growing up. And so listening to these records was like, you know, that was the entertainment, you know, till I got old enough to get my first Atari. Like, Nintendo's already out, so my parents buy me an Atari 2600 Junior for $50, you know, video games. And I didn't care, you know, because it was less about the materials. It was the thing, what I had meant, you know, that meant a lot. It was I learned to appreciate everything that we had. And a lot of these lyrics are very, you know, very vapid, of just like, you know, cute girl choosing between two girls, but then some of them just have these, just the concept of a daydream believer, you know, like, this is just somebody who dreams and believes in dreams, and there's something just simple and wonderful about that kind of stuff, you know. And it was those kinds of lyrics that affected me so much as a kid. Is an interesting thing, because, like I've said before, I'm not super into lyrics. I'm not a super lyrical guy. I mean, one of my favorite bands is Collective Soul, and I don't think about their lyrics all that much. I sing along to them, but for the most part, I love that band because of its melodies. And these songs were kind of where I originally got that from. But their lyrics, as simple as they are, always, some of them really permeated. Some of them really made it through, and even just the tone of a song was enough to elicit specific emotions, even in a kid, from this kind of music. And I personally cannot wait until my daughter gets old enough to tell me what this music means to her. I'm fascinated by it. Like, my son John, he's super into video game music. He does not have much thoughts of anything outside of video game music, which is very interesting. Ellie, on the other hand, she likes a lot of music, and she likes a lot of the stuff that her mom likes, but she also she loves Bang Bang by Dispatch. It's one of the records she always likes to put on. She loves The General. She loves this Monkees album. She loves Flood by They Might Be Giants. Those are like the three records that she gravitates towards, and they couldn't be more different. Those three albums.
That's true.
But I'm so fascinated by her musical taste, and I'm so curious what these songs are going to mean to her, especially these Monkees songs, because they're so much older. You know, these songs were old when I was a kid.
They were almost old when they were made.
and here I am still talking about them today. Like, that transcends time. Music is a magical thing.
It really, really is, man.
So on that note, it's time to wrap things up. That's going to be our show. Thanks everybody for listening. Matt, what's our next episode going to be on? I'm so curious.
Oh, I don't know, man. So I think prior to hitting record on this, we were goofing on how all over the map the first 4 episodes of this, or 5 episodes of this program has been, right? I swear to you, I'm not doing this on purpose. When we first started talking about the show, I tried to plot out my first 3, and I wanted my first 3 to really encompass kind of who I am. And I think I did that a great job of that with White Zombie, and then the Depeche Mode part, and then I said, well, there's still 2 pieces of me missing. So really, the first 4 are probably going to be all of me, and then it's going to be, just bands I love and artists I love after that. That being said, I'm going to stop rambling. I am, beyond the shadow of a doubt, one of the biggest fans of the Man in Black. So next episode is going to be Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have very little
Fan-
knowledge of Johnny Cash. I
Fantastic.
I almost brought up his cover of Closer earlier when talking about covers of songs
Yes.
that are so different from the originals, even if I don't like them, which I don't dislike the cover, Johnny Cash's cover of Closer. I'm not saying that, but even if I didn't like it, it would have no bearing on the Nine Inch Nails original because it is a completely different animal. He did his own thing with it. So, all right, Johnny Cash, didn't see that coming. All right,
I'm going to keep you guessing for a little while.
I like this musical education I'm getting. This is very cool.
Listen, I feel the exact same way. You hit me with Dispatch, who I'd never even heard of. I'm a fan now. You hit me with the Monkees, which I had a very different leaning, and I'm very happy that I don't anymore. So it's the experiment is going well, I would say.
Super fun. All right, Johnny Cash is our next episode. That's super cool. And with that, let's wrap things up. We here at Turning Tracks are incredibly grateful to everyone who listens, and we love communicating with you when we can. We have a couple of ways you can do that. There's the Geekade Discord channel, in which we have a Turning Tracks chat where we hope to discuss all manner of stuff relating to music and whatever our next episodes are going to be. And of course, you can always still send us an email at mail@geekade.com. And while you're at it, check out all our social media channels, which you should totally follow, like, and subscribe to if you haven't already. Turning Tracks and other Geekade podcasts are made possible thanks to the Geekade Patreon page. There, patrons can get access to a monthly podcast topic and recording schedule, get early access to most of Geekade's shows, including this one and more. If you've enjoyed our podcast over the years, please follow the link in the description and give it a look. We really appreciate it. Finally, as always, be sure to check out all the other great content we have on our site over at geekade.com. We're going to leave you with a song from Headquarters, another really solid Monkees album that I didn't pick any songs off of.
Except for this one.
This song is called No Time. Headquarters was one of the three albums the band released in 1967, which
That's so crazy.
Oh man, the song's writing credits actually include all 4 Monkees plus Hank Sicalo, I think is how you say that. But yeah, all 4 of the Monkees actually pitched in to write this song, and it is kick ass. It is super high energy. It's really fun to listen to, and it reminds me of like 1950s dance music. You know, it's got that really high energy, like Twist and Shout kind of, you know. It's one of those kind of like really perfect high energy danceable songs. And I thought it would be a really fun way to end the episode. So there it is. Enjoy it. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next month for Johnny Cash. Have a good day, night, week, month, year, whatever.
Laters.
What did you expect? No time. No time, no time. No time for you. No time, no time at all. I got no time, baby, got lots of better things to do. No time at all. Running from the rising heat to find a place to hide. The grass is always greener growing on the other side. No time. No time, no time. No time for you. No time, no time at all. I got no time, baby, got lots of better things to do. No time, welcome to Georgia Ringo, one time. No time, no time, no time, no time for you. No time, no time at all. I got no time, baby, got lots of better things to do. No time at all. No time, no time, no time, no time for you. No time at all. I got no time, baby, got lots of better things to do. No time at all. Try to tell the world somehow of how I feel. Tell me what you said again, I can't believe it's real. No time, no time, I got no time for you. No time, no time at all. I got no time, baby, got lots of better things to do. No time at all. And you self-defense, no time.